Well,
Take your
Ivan,
time.
I think we're pretty much live. Hell, I
All
don't
right.
know. Here, let me hit manual start. And then you could start talking, and then I will build these screens underneath you.
All right. So we're rolling, huh, Chris?
You got it, buddy.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Landmark Live. We got a special episode for you tonight. And by the way, Landmark Live is a production of your Platte County Landmark newspaper. Tonight, we're sponsored by Patty Farr of Remax House of Dreams. Tonight, we have Kansas City Mayor Quinton Lucas on with us. Mr. Mayor, welcome to the show. Thanks for coming on with us.
It is great to be with you guys, and happy to be talking to all my friends in Platte County.
Hey,
We're
we
gonna we're
appreciate
gonna
that.
get a picture of him here in just a second, I promise.
Chris Kamler working the technology into things.
That's right.
Chris, Chris is our tech expert. Mary, you had a busy day, did you not?
You know, I did. City Council was actually not dramatic in the slightest today, which is good. Everybody voted the right way, which was voted with me.
Right.
But no, generally things are it's going all right. It's a busy time certainly in Kansas City and our country, but everybody's being pretty kind and we're still getting good work done at City Hall.
Yeah. Now you had some kind of announcement about maybe closing some streets to make room for more pedestrian traffic, right? Bring us up to
We
date on
did.
that.
We did, and so they're not worried about getting hit by cars. And now is the time when we can think about that because folks are home all day and that sort of thing. And so I think what was interesting about my resolution wasn't just that we would do it. The city's done it before on Ward Parkway and through Midtown and that sort of thing. But I'm trying to mandate that it be done in every part of the city, north, central, and south, so that in the Northland we have that opportunity on the east side and South Kansas City, so that everybody can get that experience.
Awesome. Now bring us up to date. Give us like a general update on how the COVID-19 fight
Yeah.
is going for the city of Kansas City.
Well, I've been proud of the people of Kansas City, and frankly, I've been proud of people in every part of our city. We issued an order a few weeks ago that everyone knows about relating to a stay at home provision. And it suggests that if you don't have a reason to be out, largely stay at home or make sure you're not going to big groups. And every part of our city, Cass County, Jackson, Clay, and Platte, has been great at complying. We've had some politics around it. My friend, the governor, today, I think took a bold step in closing public schools for the rest of the year. I know that I look forward to working with Jefferson City on these issues. And, my biggest excitement is making sure we get a chance to open back up again. But to open back up, we need to make sure we take care of a few things. There aren't a broad set of new community infections. We're making sure we know where people are getting it from. I think one of the challenges is that lots of people have been coming down with COVID-19, for a few weeks now, not knowing if it was from a door handle or from their spouse. And so we're trying to make sure we get ahead of that. And I think Kansas City is in a good position where our hospitals will be prepared for, any type of spike, which I hope isn't that big here in the next week or so.
What kind of data are you getting? Is there an estimated peak date locally?
So there is. The peak date is currently predicted is on April the 19th. That actually lines up with Kansas as well. And so we would think that in this area, that is the date that we would probably see our highest number actually of fatalities. My hope is though that we never hit that New York number, and instead we stay at this fairly moderate level. I mean, my heart breaks for every family that's been touched by it so far, but I think what's important for us is that our mitigation steps have worked, and that's why you've seen them applied all throughout the country.
Yeah,
Mayor,
Chris.
Mayor, you mentioned getting things back started. I mean, kind of take me through your tenure as mayor. You begin as mayor, and you run on your platform. In the first month, you hoist the Super Bowl trophy. The next month, there's arguing about a downtown stadium, and then the couple weeks later, we're shutting down the entire town. This could not possibly have been on your top 200 list of things to worry about when you ran for mayor, right?
It is interesting because a year ago I ran on a platform, and I will repeat it to you all, of potholes, public safety, and progress. Right? Everybody cared about potholes a ton, and they still do, by the way. And then we've had an issue for years in Kansas City with violent crime, and then progress related to developing our city long term. What I did not think was, yeah, if people would care about my views on public health or how we respond to real challenging issues. But I thought this along the way, which is people ask, were you prepared for COVID-19 and the coronavirus or a Chiefs parade? And the answer is not exactly prepared for that. But through your experiences in life, you learn how to roll with the punches. And you guys have probably heard my life story, and I don't think it's too different than a lot of people who are watching from you. Well, I grew up in the inner city of Kansas City. I also lived for a while in a town by the name of Hutchinson, Kansas. And so what that always gave me kind of a read up was not just an inner city majority black community, but also a town that had a slightly more rural bent, certainly a more conservative bent. And I think as we deal with any number of issues that confront our city, people want to look to leaders who have common sense, who are trying to get things done quickly, and who will make bold, decisive decisions. And I hope that in my 9 months as mayor, I've been able to do that. Although I'll admit, I'd be happy if 2021 was a lot more relaxing.
Yeah, one day you're counting the number of porta johns that you have to put down at Union Station. The next day you're having to shut down restaurants and stuff. I mean, this has
Yeah.
just got to be absolutely incredible. I've been very impressed, and I was talking with Ivan before you came on. I mean, Ivan, you mentioned yourself. I mean, you were one of the first Midwestern mayors to kind of come out and start to say, hey, listen, this is how it's going to go. You came out quite early in front of the Missouri governor, in front of the Kansas governor, and you said, hey, this is the way it's going to go. Tell me a little bit about your background and how you just learned to be kind of decisive, or how this evolved and say, hey, we got to be out first in front of this. We got to start shutting things down.
I'll share one vignette from when I was a little kid, and I hate when politicians do that because they're like, "I believe in a town called Hope," right? But,
Right.
I'm not quite like him, and I'll never have the controversies. I'm not married at least, so. But on this point, I think I remember when I was a kid, my mom was having money trouble, and I had saved up, I think, $30 or something. So I went to the grocery store to buy all the food for my family. And what I bought was a ton of packs of cheese, bologna, and cereal. And that was about it. And, my mom chuckled at the time and said, "You thought you would feed a whole family with that?" I was like, "Well, why not? That's all you need, right?" But, what that has stuck with me since was that we'll get through almost any challenge that comes in front of us. I think the goal of some is to either freak out or to overanalyze. And my view has always been, I don't need to do that. I don't need to be the smartest person in the room. I don't need to be the best speaker or anything of that sort. What I need to do is what I'm challenged with. And so when I got information that said that there was significant community spread in connection with COVID-19, and that the approach that we're going to have is not a vaccine at this point, but instead that you got to kind of shut things down for a while. I said, well, you know what, damn it, I'll do it. And what that meant was actually the group that hated me the most for several days were brides and wedding planners. Because if you remember, the first thing we shut down were large events. And, so the Big 12 tournament and Comic Con, you could get past that. But, these women who had planned their weddings for the last year, they were calling my office and saying, "You're the worst and you'll never find love," and all that stuff. I thought it was important. And ever since that's kind of what we've done on every step. I know some may not think this, but my staff is probably a good deal more progressive than I am. And I know at one point they were trying to push me to do some orders that were beyond where we are, setting curfews and that sort of thing. And I said, my politics won't be set by what, AOC or somebody in San Fran or New York, said for us. We're going to do what the data says. And, it's largely, I think, worked out for the better for our community.
Well, I'll tell you what, it was brides a month ago. Today, unfortunately, it's my 17-year-old baseball playing high school son that got news today that, the schools will be closed the rest of the year. And so that we won't blame you for that. We'll blame the governor. But I mean, it was kind of a long time coming, and
Yeah.
and you got to feel for these high school seniors who lost their final couple of months of the year, and likely will lose their more traditional graduation
Mm-hmm.
and things. So yeah, it's weighing very heavily on our minds. I mean, these are obviously they're first world problems, but these are things that mean a lot of to folks, and
Well, they
with
do.
the weddings and the funerals and all that good stuff. So
They do. And I'll say this for the high schoolers because I was not the world's greatest sportsman, but I ran track in high school because I could not catch a ball, throw one, kick one, shoot one. And so my high school memories are at these track meets all throughout small towns in Missouri. And to me, that's what high school spring meant. And anybody who plays track or plays high school baseball with a team, they didn't get a game in this year. And I understand the sacrifice we've asked those kids to make. And yeah, I think we don't pat them on the backs a lot because 17-year-olds we yell at them more necessarily so. But I hope that they all recognize. I doubt any are watching, but if they are, know that I recognize their sacrifice. And I still hope we find an opportunity to celebrate them however we can. I don't know if that'll be midsummer or late summer if they're still around, but this has meant a lot, and I think they deserve some real congratulations and kudos from us.
Yep.
Now, will you wait till closer to the 24th to make an announcement of an extension, or will you go ahead and do it in advance?
I think we will probably look to do that in advance. Part of that is because I do want to be fair to businesses, and I know they have plans to make, and if they're opening up, they want to know if they need to hire people back on and that sort of thing. But we will still, it won't be this week. We'd probably look to have that conversation next week again with public health experts and others. But that I think is at least where we're heading right now.
Excellent. Well, there you had it, guys. Some breaking news on Landmark Live here for the Platte County Landmark. We're speaking with Kansas City Mayor Quinton Lucas is kind enough to break some news for us on this show tonight. Chris, how about that?
I love it.
Chris broke the news earlier on Twitter that he would actually be wearing pants for tonight's
show. I did. You're welcome. I haven't worn them in 4 weeks, but I figure we got to dress up.
So, Mayor, talk about the economic impact and how does the economy bounce back from the shutdown?
Well, you know what? It's going to be darn hard. And I'll say this because any of us who know small businessmen in particular know that this moment is different for different folks. And as I was issuing these orders, and I gotten some tips with people along the way, because when we were doing a lot of that kind of big core four announcement with Johnson County, Kansas, Wyandotte County, Dutchess County, Missouri, and Platte and Clay County rolled with us pretty quickly. One of the things I was saying at the beginning was, well, what are we doing to support businesses throughout this process? And that's why at City Council in Kansas City, Missouri, at least, we passed an ordinance that gives $500,000 of small business emergency relief. And for me, that's meant to go to your barbershops, your corner stores, that sort of thing, instead of, your big company that's always getting an incentive in Kansas City. And so, it's those sorts of things that I'm trying to do. It is those sorts of folks. You guys will remember him well, but I'm friends with David Swaney, who is from Platte City. His father, Jack, dentist and a good man. And, that family taught me a little bit about not only Platte City, but small businesses and that sort of thing in communities. And in every part of Kansas City and our region, you have folks that hang on like that. The person who is that, who's the business person who's still got something going at the shopping center. And whether it's Blue Ridge or Berry Road or wherever in Kansas City, we need to make sure they weather this crisis. And so I've tried to find money to help do that. I've been working with area nonprofits and area businesses to make sure we support that. But maybe it's a little bit of optimism and being a Baptist or who knows what. But, I think we will bounce back because I think everyone in this region wants to support whatever local business it is that they know. And I think everybody's kind of tired of being inside too. So, once we're ready to open back up, I think it won't be long until we have some businesses getting customers. Now, the challenge is going to be if some of these businesses can survive during the shutdown. And that's something I have big concerns about.
Well, you kind of mentioned it, Mayor Lucas, that this is a regional thing. I remember your press conference there at Union Station, where you had the unified government, you had some of the other mayors and folks there. This is taking a village, to coin a phrase. I mean, you got to talk with Raytown, you got to talk with North Kansas City, you got to talk with Platte County, you got to talk with all these folks. is there a template that you're using? I mean, I know I think everybody's been pretty impressed with the governor of New York, Governor Cuomo, and kind of watching his daily briefings and whatnot. It kind of seems like he's having to create a coalition as well. Are there folks that you're looking to, or are you just kind of rolling with the best advice that you can get at the time?
There are a few different people that I've found to be helpful throughout this process. Certainly, Governor Cuomo is a good example. A guy who's direct, a guy who doesn't smile a lot, right? I mean, he's just kind of, he is, in some ways, although I know his dad was governor, he's kind of the anti-politician, right? I mean, just says, what he's thinking and goes from there. Whereas folks who equivocate, kind of like Mayor de Blasio in New York City, run into more trouble. So, I've looked to him. I've looked to Mike DeWine, who is a Republican governor of Ohio, who I remember was issuing orders before almost anybody else. And I think when we were still planning a lot of the conference tournaments, including the Big 12 in Kansas City, I got this email and it said the governor of Ohio is canceling March Madness in Ohio. And I said, what in the heck? Right? I mean, how is he going to get away with that? And I think he gave his reasons and it was clear. And, I think everybody understood it. And so I've tried to follow that model. You've got to make decisions with this idea of, I'm doing it for the right reason and I'll be able to defend it sometime later. What you can't worry about is who you're ticking off or, who's influencing you or in your ear. And that has been my model in some ways. And then the test that I always use, not because of, actually, she moved in later than when I moved in. My mom lives a few blocks from me. She sold her house and moved to the kind of closer to me in the city. And, every now and then I'll go to her porch and tell her something. And, she will sometimes tell me, well, that seems like an idiotic idea, or why is the city doing that, or, anything under the sun.
Right.
And on a lot of these orders, I don't always talk to her about them, but I say, well, would it pass my mama's judgment? Does this make sense? Can I explain it to her, somebody like her? And that's largely how I've been able to get through it all.
Yeah, moms will tell it like it is, sometimes.
Right.
Now, listen, do you do your own photography? I noticed on your Facebook page this morning, you had a great picture of the sunrise. So is that a shot that that's just awesome?
I do. I have loved this moment because I've never become nearly as famous on social media as Chris. Through his alter ego is pretty much the most famous Kansas City around.
But, just ask him.
Right.
Yeah, just ask me. Exactly.
But at the same time, I've enjoyed kind of interacting with our community and taking my own pictures of sunsets and sunrises. And so I do all that myself.
Okay, somebody wanted us to ask you about the blue blazers. Do you always wear blue? Where do you get all these blue suits?
I always wear suits. I have a few grays in the rotation, but it is heavily blue and gray. And I think part of that is actually not from politics, but from court. I've learned from, being a lawyer, although I barely ever appeared in court, you wear the most boring stuff because you don't want that person on the jury being like, oh, he looked like he drives fancy cars or something. You go for kind of a consistent look so that nice lady will vote in your favor.
Oh. Hey, what's your favorite part of being mayor?
There's a lot. The Chiefs Parade was a huge part of it, but I think I've got this card and this is from someone actually from Clay County, but this nice young girl wrote this thing and a picture of the White House because I think that's what she knows is government. And you meet all these nice people who are just so good to you. Early in my mayoral term, I was trying to go to church every Sunday in a different part of the city, and that the Chief season started to mess with that, and then this all broke out. But I love that because no matter the part of the city I was in, people were, coming up and saying hi and gave their ideas. And I kind of wondered because, I won by a decent amount, but there were a lot of people who didn't vote for me. And, I've been heartened by how nice Kansas Cityans are. And that's something, I can't forget. On my morning runs, people wave at me. I went to, when I go to a swim meet in the Northland, people are coming up and talking to me, asking me to have pictures with their kids. I mean, it's been real nice.
You've been very out there. I mean, not that I've paid attention to where mayors are and where they aren't, but I think you've been driving, you've been patrolling Swope Park, keeping an eye on the basketball
Yeah.
there. I mean, you're out and you're a mayor who's out and about, and you're not just gonna work from your home office or work from City Hall. And I know you live down in the Vine
18th
District, yeah,
time. Yeah.
18th and Vine District. So there's a lot of places you're pretty centrally located. You can kind of go north, south, east, or west. But that's pretty cool. That's got to be pretty fulfilling to have a lay of the land like that.
Well, it's been a lot of fun. And, it's weird because I use this hashtag on Twitter for anybody who's on it, We the North, which is stolen from the NBA team,
The
Toronto
Raptors.
Raptors. And everybody said, "Why did you start using that?" I said, "I don't know. It was just this joke." And I think it got to kind of solidify how often I was there, and then I have different ones for South Kansas City or the East Side where I'm from or downtown. And I think there's something special about mayors, like sit right now and think, can you name your last three Congress people for your district? Maybe, but maybe not, right? But what you can do often is that you get to have this relationship with your mayors. People know Sly James. People know, Emmanuel Cleaver or Kay Barnes. It's because, it's really, you never get to talk to the president, right? You don't get to change what happens at Congress. You get to talk to the governor less, but your mayor is somebody who should be present. And, part of why I ran for this position was because I'm a kid from Kansas City, and I didn't think there was anything cooler than going to Chiefs games, right? Like being the mayor one day. And I always got jealous when there would be these big news stories and Kansas City wasn't on the map. And so I think for me, that's what I'm all about. And I'm going to probably try to get every ounce of joy from being the mayor of Kansas City as I can, because I will tell you this, and Emmanuel Cleaver probably won't admit to it, but every now and then when I talk to him, I'm kind of like, you've been in Congress since 2004. What's more fun, being mayor of Kansas City or being in Congress? And I think, to a person, he would say, oh, being mayor was a heck of a fun time. And, I'll make sure I get some joy out of it too. And I certainly already have.
Well, we the North isn't exactly stay frosty, but we'll take it. That's no problem. I'm sure we can use that. I know we've only got you for another couple of minutes, Ivan. I'll let you batter up.
Hey, should we tell the mayor our Sly James story? Chris and I were talking about this before the show tonight. We had Sly scheduled one night on Landmark Live, and then it came that we had a conflict that night. We had Chris Ketz and Mayor Sly had confirmed to do the same night. We didn't know we'd be lucky enough to get both of them. We actually ended up getting both of them on the same night, so we had to make a choice. Chris, you tell the mayor who we chose.
Well, we chose Chris Katz. He's more photogenic, and B, he's more popular. So I mean, you just got to go with Chris Katz, right?
And he's been on a lot longer. That's right.
That's right.
Years.
And the funny thing, we couldn't get Sly back on after that. I don't know.
Well, he did not endorse me, so I like the Chris Katz choice.
There you go. Absolutely.
Apparently, we made the right choice. Hey, let's talk about government transparency for a minute, because I know that was an issue for you when the KCI project was being discussed. And just talk about your general feelings about government transparency and why it's so important.
Well, I think it is the biggest thing. I saw this a while back. Whether you are a Republican or a Democrat, super conservative, super liberal, there's this magical class of people that run every level of government. And it's called the consultants and the lobbyists and all that sort of stuff. And we come up with these ideas, and literally nobody else gets to test it, gets to ask if it's in the best interest of the taxpayers. And I think from the moment I showed up at City Hall, I would often be at these things and I'd say, well, why are we doing this? And they would say, oh, well, we've already studied it and it's already done and the train's left the station. And nothing annoyed me more because, the politics, the real, distinction in politics sometimes isn't really left right. It is, do you want people knowing what's going on or not? And maybe it's the inner city and Hutchinson combo in my life, but that's gotten me to say, whatever it is we're going to do, I'm going to ask questions. And so, for example, I was able to tick some people off every week, but this week, the Kansas City Area Transportation Authority, the Metro bus system, has a 57, soon to be a $62 million contract with Kansas City, Missouri. And okay, I love it. I love the bus. I love it getting around. But I said, well, maybe we should hold it up a week just to make them come present to us and to tell them what safeguards they have to make sure we're spending the money well. And I did that. And then all of a sudden I started getting all these calls and People are saying, well, why are you mad at us? Or what did we do wrong? Or why do you hate the buses? Or have you given up on zero fare trans? I said, no, people should be able to ask questions about where $62 million is going. And that was the same story with KCI. I mean, so much of that was those of us who ask questions, people would try to kind of castigate us and say, oh, you're against progress and you're a troglodyte or you're against, And I said, no, at the time I was younger then. I'm 33 years old, 32. I would love a new KCI. I would love all these things, but we need to tell people where $1 billion is going and how we're coming to the right decision on it. And I think government could save itself a lot of time if before we make these choices, or even contemporaneous with it, we told people, hey, this is how I got to it. This is where it came from. You can agree or disagree, but that's where we are. And I think that sort of honesty and openness and transparency at every level will help people out a lot more. And frankly, I won the mayoral race by 20 points. I did not have more money than my opponent. I didn't have anything else. But I think saying real basic common sense stuff like that resonated with people. And I think we need to govern like that too.
Hey, I live in Clay County, and I woke up one morning and I'm getting a new Clay County annex that nobody really wants, or, I don't think anybody voted on, or God bless them. I guess we're getting a new Clay County annex. So,
man, I read about Clay County. I mean, I love all my counties the same, but dadgummit, Cass County is the only one that doesn't give me any drama of all my KC counties. I love my Cass people. I have about 100 residents, and they never ask for anything. And Lord knows the county commission ain't that wild.
That's awesome. So we asked your favorite part of being mayor. Is there a least favorite part?
Oh, there are several. Step one is how do you put it the right way without annoying anybody? I think sometimes you bump into a lot of arrogant people who have this amazing amount of entitlement to contracts, entitlement to just about anything. And I know when I I'll give you a real example. In the last Kansas City, Missouri budget, I made some changes to the arts budget, the amount of money we were putting into different arts organizations, the film office, et cetera. We restored the funding of the film office. We didn't make those changes to the arts. And people ask me, well, how dare you do this? And I said, well, I'm mayor and we're having some budget issues and that sort of thing, even before COVID-19. And the number of people that kind of just got to me and said, well, how dare you do this without calling the most important people in the arts community? I said, well, why are you more important than anybody else? To me, you're a voter. And just because even if you gave, and thank you for giving $5,000 to the Nelson Atkins last year, or giving who knows what to whatever else, we can't let some people be more important as voters than others. And I think sometimes the problem in Kansas City Hall is that we have a few voices that, get to cut in front of everybody else. And maybe because I, was born to the everybody else group of people, I'm going to say that everybody's got the same voice. That's why, it's why I'm talking to you guys now. It's why I'll talk to a whole bunch of different people, because I don't think Mission Hills, Kansas should run the Kansas City, Missouri City Hall. And, I think, unfortunately, that's kind of a controversial line to say, but we need to change that over time. And by the way, guys, I'm never going to be able to raise a single dollar again.
Not in Mission Hills.
All right,
I got one more question, Ivan. I know we're coming up on your time. You've been super generous, Mayor. I really appreciate it. It's been a lot of fun.
Happy to do it.
Have kind of a serious question that I heard you say, and this might have been in your the presentation at Union Station.
Yeah.
We're doing all of this to save lives, right? We're doing all that. One life is worth all of the pain and suffering that we're doing. I read a really good argument on Facebook or Twitter or whatever. When things go back to normal and we have crime in the inner city, we have domestic violence problems, we have drunk driving issues, we have all of these things, we're going to be saddled with one life is worth, all of these grandiose gestures and grandiose things. And I heard you say that, as well. And it's worth all of the things if we can save these lives. Your challenge coming out of this is going to be now we may have to shift and say, hey, listen, we're all about saving lives and we need to redirect some money or redirect some resources or something. I know we're still in the thick of all this, but have you given any thought to life after this and what we're going to do?
Something that, so short answer is yes. Longer answer relates to this, which is you guys may remember my early time as mayor, even when I was running, I would make a lot of noise about the number of murders we have in our city. And a lot of us remember when the young woman from Kansas, Erin Langhofer, was shot by a stray bullet and killed in a crossroads, First Fridays.
Mm-hmm.
And and I got a little bit of flack because they said, "Why are you caring about this one versus others?" And I said, "Well, yeah, I mean, because every now and then people will call me racist, which is amazingly interesting." But what I took from that was not so much um, that just that individual situation was a tragedy, which it was, but that we get too used to these every year.
Mm-hmm.
You guys, as people who've lived in Kansas City every year, we have the same list of homicides. We've always had the 8-year-old who's shot and killed a week before school starts. We always have the person from somewhere else who's killed by a stray bullet. We always have the domestic dispute, sometimes in the Northland. And I do have qualms with that. And I think what I would like to see us reorient our lives on, and I'll be honest about it because you've heard me say this before. The mayor of Kansas City isn't the president of the Chamber of Commerce. I want cool and new things, but at the same time, um, if at the end of 8 years you're saying, "Wow, that Quinton Lucas got us a hotel and one other thing and a whole bunch of stuff downtown," but 150 people were murdered this year, and quality of life got worse for people, and small businesses are closing down. I don't think I would be a success. And so for me, I actually, part of the reason I do care as much as I do about making sure we address things for COVID-19 is because we do need to actually think about how we can make life better for everyone. And importantly, that doesn't mean government does it, right? I'm not one who says that, I should be picking who wins, who loses. But what I should be doing is making sure that we have a city where we remove every barrier possible to someone being able to grow up, right? Be healthy, open a business, and have a good life. And that's what I'm going to be committed to long after this crisis is done.
Awesome. Hey, Mayor, we know you're short on time. 2 quick things in the sports world. Will Kansas City ever get an NBA team?
No, I hope so. So I think yes is the answer. I think we will.
All right. All right. Any time frame on that in your mind?
Well, before all this happened, I thought it is a within 5 years type of thing. I think there's going to be an NBA team that's in a tough relationship with their city. Sprint Center has been kept up very well. The rental car tax continues. And so I think we have ability to completely modernize the facility, although it's already great. And I would look for a relocation opportunity in Kansas City for the next 5 years.
Okay, a downtown baseball stadium. Will we get one, or do we need one? Is that even something that you would consider a positive thing, or is that not something that's on your radar?
Well, I started trouble with my Maserati line, right? I mean, I said to those who didn't know that Kansas City needs a new downtown baseball stadium like I need a new Maserati. It'd be great to have, but I can't afford it. And a lot of people took that as we don't need a downtown stadium. I'm like, maybe it's a sign that I need a Maserati.
I want a Maserati.
Right. That's what I was always taking it. I just need to make more money. Here's the deal. I think that is a direction we'll probably go towards. I think that's more of a 10-year conversation with the way the stadium contracts are looking right now. But we have got to come up with a better funding scheme than just Jackson County. And I don't think we just need a Platte, Clay, Jackson type of thing too. I mean, we put a lot on KCMO taxpayers, the arena. We put a lot on Jackson County taxpayers or Jackson and Clay in connection with the zoo tax. I think we need to look to bi-state, and we need to look to significant private investment. And every time somebody asks me from the business community, that's my answer. It's not that I'm against the downtown stadium. It's that we need to kind of share the expense on it.
You heard it here first. Cass County is going to buy a baseball stadium for Kansas City.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Mayor. This has been a lot of fun.
Yeah, we appreciate your time.
Great. Hey, you guys stay healthy and safe, and I hope to come do one of these interviews in person sometime soon, all right?
That would be fantastic. Thanks again for joining us. You've been great.
Appreciate it.
Right, appreciate the time.
All right. Hey, that was
you
fun.
There, buddy?
So while we were on, we lost our Facebook feed, but I mean, we've got our Twitter feed going, and we've still got everything recorded, so we're still okay.
We can load it on Facebook, right?
Yeah, we can load it on Facebook. So apologies for that, but if you're catching us on the flip-flop that we are still alive. We're just I was punching buttons and trying to get things going over here.
And your screen disappeared. I couldn't see you.
I know. Yeah, I have no idea what the hell happened. I
that's all right.
No clue. I could do that. There you go. Handsome guy like me. So.
Oh, that is handsome.
No, that was a lot of fun, man. He's a good dude. He seems pretty down to earth, and whatever your politics, I think that's pretty awesome.
We do have to get together with him in person when all this settles down, do a show together, and we'll just have a good time. We'll get him in even a more relaxed atmosphere and at a more relaxed time in his tenure there. So.
Yeah, hopefully this whole thing is over real quick.
Yeah. So how's your week going, Chris Kamler, before we wrap this up?
It's going all right, man. Busy. Got we selling any papers this week?
Oh yeah, we are. We're selling all kinds of papers. Yeah, we've got a little bit of story on the economic impact of things. Let me see if I can show you that. There's the front page. If you need one, 816-858-0363. We'll get you a subscription. Yeah, always busy in the news biz.
I love it, man. You put out a good paper, and except for my column, it's an outstanding read. So
it is an outstanding read. Your column included, my friend.
Well, you staying safe? You staying 6 feet away from everybody?
Yes. Staying 6 feet away and keeping Cindy in the basement so she stays healthy. We bring her out about once a week, and she helps us put out the paper, and then we throw her back down. So it's working out well.
See, this is where it's been good for me to have to stay 6 feet away by law. So I'm ready. I'm ready for COVID-19. I have no problems now.
Yeah, good time. Yeah, social distancing. You've always been good at that, correct?
I have. People tend to stay away from me. They just get out of my way. So.
I don't understand it.
Well, what's next? Who's the next big interview we want to get?
I hadn't even thought about that. Who are we going to shoot for next?
I got to shoot big.
Well,
we got to shoot. I mean, I'm not sure how much bigger you can get than Mayor Lucas, but
he's the hot commodity right now. We got him. That was nice of him to give us 30 minutes or so.
Yeah, so
Perfect.
we'll have to put together a list. If you guys are watching on Facebook or Twitter and you want to see us interview somebody, we'll go after the names. I mean, we'll go after the big ones. There's no fish that's too big for us.
Hey, we'll ask anybody, right?
Yeah.
We've heard the word no before.
We have many times. Maybe Mayor James has got time now.
Yeah,
to come back on.
Time. I doubt we'll get him, but we can ask.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I love it.
Well, he's no Chris Katz, right?
No, he really isn't. Still isn't. So that's awesome.
Good times.
All right, buddy.
Hey, man, thanks for all your technology work on this.
Oh, you bet. Job. Well, we'll get this re-uploaded to the Facebook, and we'll figure something out. So
as long as you got recorded and saved, upload that puppy to Facebook. We'll be good. Now, I apologize to all the Facebook folks yet, but yeah, if you're watching on Facebook or trying to watch, we apologize. But hey, you can watch the recording.
You watch it over and over again. All of our beautiful faces.
That's right. We apologize. All right, guys. Hey, until next time, you've been watching Landmark Live. Thanks again to our sponsor, Patty Farr's Remax House of Dreams. If you need a home, Patty Farr will get you a deal. In fact, she'll get you the best deal by far. Right, Chris?
Absolutely. She's very kind to have helped sponsor this episode. So we thank you, Patty. Great job. Hope you're still moving some houses here.
Yeah, and by the way, you need a subscription to the Landmark, 816-858-0363. Ask for the Fake Net Special. We'll get you fixed up.
We'll get you 6 feet of distance when we throw the paper in your doorstep.
That's right. There you go. Well, thanks again, everybody. We'll see you next time. Chris, good luck to you. Have a great week, buddy.
Take it easy, man. Have a good one.
You bet. Thanks.